what is the role of a critic?
See, the role of a film critic is to just take a critical look at a film, analyze it, and then give a clear-cut picture to the viewer what that particular film is all about, you know. And also to the filmmaker, actually, to give an idea whether he has succeeded or not in his attempt to put across a certain theme.
Rauf, don't you feel that sometimes critics have crossed the line of decency? They're sometimes very harsh to any filmmaker.
See, honestly, I don't think there's any kind of sensible criticism in our industry at the moment. I mean, in media of any kind, because people needed lot more, people to talk about films, that anyone became a critic. It's not that simple. Okay, it's also true that we don't have great films which require great critics, or films that require analytical study, because they qualitatively they're more like folk theatre. So you can't really analyze them in depth and come out with anything. So anybody came into the line and started becoming a critic,
But Rauf, if we talk about the people who are renowned in this job,
Yeah.
who are experienced, who have experience of maybe 25, 30 years, but do you think sometimes they become too harsh for a certain human being on certain reasons, certain films?
I don't think you can classify criticism as harsh or not. The question is whether it's objective or not. I don't think there any kind of objective criticism happening today, because mostly what they try to do is to play like a guide to the audience, like whether you should go and see the film or not. But in the bargain, what happens is a kind of prejudice creeps into it. Suppose you like a certain kind of film, or if you like a certain filmmaker, you tend to be soft on him and try to push him in, this happened very often. I didn't understand why people slammed Devdas the way they did. I don't think the film deserved that kind of attack. It was vehement, as if he had done something terribly unethical or something by changing the theme, or tampering with the Sharat Chandra's original classic. But then it was not a historical film. It's not a historical reality that he was going to talk about. So I don't think that should have been the cause for them to come down so heavily on him. But they did. This is exactly what is happening in most cases, because people go with a personal bias and just try to find out whether this film is watchable or not, if they liked it or not. I know a personal element does come in. You can't avoid being subjective while talking about a film. But at the same time, I also believe that if a film is good, it is good, irrespective of who has seen it and who has reviewed it. There has to be a basic yardstick to judge a film. And if a film is good, it is good. If it's bad, it's bad. You can't say that, it is partly good and it's partly bad, and the music is good, the dance is bad. This is not really film criticism, But unfortunately, that is what is happening today. Just about anybody goes, people with 3 months experience, or any reporter in a newspaper, because they don't pay that much importance to film criticism. Because I know my own editor at once upon a time when I started, he would just say, go and see this film and write 2 paras. For them, politics is very important. They don't think cinema or any form of art is of any significance. So they just dismiss it. They just send just about anybody, That has created a trend where vested interests, sometimes a filmmaker himself becomes a critic and starts writing about it. Or somebody, who doesn't like a particular filmmaker gets down to slashing him. Even the stars, a bad film can get a 5-star, and a very good film like Lagan got only 4, whereas so many other films have got 5, But I don't think that is really fair, and there is no fair criticism happening at all. It's very unfortunate, whether it is out of bias or just ignorance, or it's just that you don't pay that kind of attention to do a reasonably good job of reviewing a film. Just about anybody.
In this bargain, what you were explaining me about people not paying that attention in that way, the image of a critic which has been developed in the filmmakers department, in the genre of filmmakers. What do you agree with that? What filmmakers give back to critics? Subhash Gave done it that. Ram Gopal Verma does it very often. Do you feel that that is right? What the filmmakers give back to?
I think to some extent the filmmakers are justified in feeling aggrieved about the way critics go about their film. That is because, they know these people have no clue as to what they're writing about. Like, if film cannot be judged by just about anyone. In most cases, what's happening is they just analyze the story. The story is good or bad. The story being good or bad, the story being to your liking or not, doesn't make a difference. Because suppose they said, oh, this is immoral, You take a moral issue and criticize the film. I know somebody criticized Mr. and Mrs. Iyer by saying, this is a bad film because, a South Indian Iyengar girl cannot develop attachment to a unknown guy the way the heroine of Mr. and Mrs. Iyer does. But I think that is pathetic. It is not your job to say what the story should have been or how the story should have been conducted. I do remember the editor of a film magazine or film newspaper wrote saying that a particular film should have been made this way and not that way. That is not your job. See, a critic has to see a film for what it is and in what context it is made and what has the filmmaker set about achieving. You're not going to tell him that you should make like this, you should make like that. And all those people who talk like that, at least I know one or two critics who talk like that, they got down to filmmaking and made a hash of it. It's not that simple to sit and say that this should be like this. This is not their job. I mean, actually, you can only say whether he has succeeded in achieving what he sets about achieving or not. It's not for you to say you should have made it like this, you should have had that kind of a story, and you shouldn't have this kind of thing. This is not moral, that is illegal. I mean, that's not the way to go about it. I think there is no genuine film criticism in this country. There are very few. I used to respect Mr. Bikram Singh, who was one of the most outstanding critics we ever had. And then I think Maithili Rao, to some extent, I appreciate the way she looks at a film. Apart from that, they're all, they're reviewing a film. In the sense, they're reporting on a film. They by and large go and see a film and report on it, whether this will become a hit or not. I mean, that's not the concern of a film critic, whether it's going to hit.
They are not reviewing the film, they are ruining the film.
I don't know, but I think most critics these days think of a film in terms of box office, performance, whether it will be a hit or not. But that is nobody's concern, because it's not a concern of a critic to say whether the film will be a hit or a flop, whether it should have had 2 item numbers and the item number shouldn't be there. All these are extraneous. I don't think it's a job of a critic to advise the filmmaker what he should be doing.
Do you feel right what the filmmakers give back to critics? I mean, the way Ram Gopal Verma displays his advertising dome of taking columns on somebody else and putting some other's names and this and that to advertise his movies, to give back the critic, this is what I think about you. Do you feel that this is right?
I think this is a democracy, so anybody has a right to express if he feels hurt or if he feels aggrieved. And then a critic is not a sacred cow. Why should he hide behind, the mask saying that, I'm a critic, I'm above reproach and things like that. You cannot. I mean, they have to face it. But I do feel that most of the critics go with the leaning towards stars or certain kind of filmmakers. And I was shocked by the way Sanjay Bansali was attacked. I don't think he deserved that. I was on recently on a panel which gave some awards. There I was shocked by people's surprise at the way they received the film. They said, why did the whole media pan this film? It is such a good film. See, this is the point, So it's a question of how you look at it. Whether you are going to look at a film as a neutral person who just analyzes the film for what its intrinsic merits are, or are you going to compare it with what it should have been according to you? That is the problem, because most of the time what we tend to do is that I wanted to see a film like this, okay, it shouldn't have been, they question, why she didn't tell him that, this was going to happen. This is not the way you should look at a film. You analyze the 2 characters in the film, no, he shouldn't have done this. Why did he do this? Why didn't he tell her earlier? This kind of thing, you cannot talk in a review like that.